One man who's certainly got views on that is Jim Rogers. He's joins us on the line from Singapore. He's from Rogers Holdings. Jim, thanks for joining us. Well, you know, we've seen what's happened with the dollar. We're seeing what's happening with commodities. What are you making of it all?
Well, I mean, I find it outrageous that the Federal Reserve is just throwing the dollar out the window. I happen to be an American citizen, and they are signaling to the whole world that they have given up on the dollar. They've been signaling for months. Anybody listening or watching this show should get out of his dollar because the Fed has given up.
Do you really think so? We've had comments that they're still in favor of a strong dollar policy.
Please. Do we even bother reporting that anymore? Poor Hank Paulson, you know, had a reasonable education and a reasonable good career, head of Goldman Sachs. Now he goes around the world making a fool out of himself. Goes around saying we want a strong dollar. The next day he goes to China and says we want a weak dollar. Then he goes to Japan and says we want a weak dollar. I mean, you have to feel sorry for the guy. At least I do.
Yeah, Jim, I mean, you know, where do we go from here? I mean, we've seen the run-up in commodities. Is this a haven to be in now? Is that the only place you can be safe?
Well, throughout history, the place to be when a currency's been under duress and being debased is to be in real assets. That happens to be commodities or other sound currency. And the other sound currencies these days are the Swiss franc and the Japanese yen, and the renminbi, of course. But the best place to be is in real assets. Always has been. Nothing new about it.
I mean, would you go metals, or would you look at the likes of, you know, coffee, cocoa, sugar, that sort of stuff?
Well, agriculture is still the cheapest, if you ask me. But well, that's where I've been buying agriculture in the past little while. That's still the cheapest. But I own gold, I own oil, I own all this stuff. I'm not selling any of it.
How high can it go? Is it just principally, well, correlated to the fall of the dollar?
Well, if they're going to do what to the dollar, what it looks like they're going to do to the dollar, who knows how high they'll go. Oil is just now making new all-time highs when you adjust for inflation. Gold's all-time high adjusted for inflation should be over $2,000 an ounce. They are really giving up on the dollar. They are driving the dollar down. They are printing money as fast as they can. I mean, look, the Federal Reserve has just in the last week spent about, $230 billion taking on loans, house loans, mortgages out of the system. This man Bernanke was never elected by anybody. I don't know where he gets the audacity to spend $230 billion of our money to bail out a few friends on Wall Street. This is totally outrageous. He's next going to be in his helicopter going around the world collecting rent payments from people. I mean, who gave him the authority to do that, to destroy the dollar, to destroy our currency, to essentially destroy the American economy? And nobody ever voted for the man. It's just mind-boggling to me.
Jim, what about you?
And here he goes and gives more of our money to Bear Stearns so these guys can continue to drive around in their Maseratis. You know, the reason they did it this way was because if Bear Stearns had to declare bankruptcy, you'd realize that Bear Stearns paid out billions of dollars in bonuses in January, 6 weeks ago. If he'd let them go into bankruptcy, they all would have had to send back their bonuses. This is what they're doing. They're doing this so that they don't have to give back their bonuses. That's why they didn't put it in the bankruptcy. And Jamie Dimon's got a great deal because the Federal Reserve is paying for it. The Federal Reserve is using taxpayer money to buy a bunch of Bear Stearns traders' Maseratis.
Jim, but what would you expect them to do here? I mean, really, what can the Fed do when we've got basically, well, a financial system in the U.S. right on the edge, if not going over?
Wait a minute. Investment banks have been going bankrupt since the beginning of time. What are you talking about? Let somebody go bankrupt. It's not the end of the world. You remember what happened in the 70s when they tried this tactic, when Arthur Burns kept printing money, saving people. Finally, interest rates had to go over 20%. They had to bring in Paul Volcker, who had to take draconian measures, put the country into a serious recession. That was the only hope at that point. How much more money do you think the Federal Reserve has? They've trotted out hundreds of billions of dollars so far to bail out their friends on Wall Street. How much more money do you think they've got?
Jim, let's just look at the risks overall now with the financial system as a whole and looking globally.
Let's do so.
Yeah, go on.
In 1966, the entire Japanese financial community went bankrupt. Every broker in Japan was in bankruptcy in 1966. Japan came out of that, became one of the great powerhouses of the world. In 1907, Everybody on Wall Street was bankrupt. Everybody was bankrupt in 1907. America recovered from that and had a very, very nice future. Are you telling me that we're never going to have bankruptcies in the financial community again?
I'm not telling you anything, Roger. Jim, just having a look at what's happening as well. You know, you've been getting out of dollar assets. You know, where are you with that now?
Well, most of my U.S. dollars are gone. I keep hoping it'd be a rally so I can get the rest of them out. But unfortunately, with Bernanke running things, there's never going to be a rally, it looks like.
So
I'm mainly out of my U.S. dollars. I've been telling you guys for months that I'm trying to get out of
Jim,
dollars.
but what about, you know, Greenspan's role in all this as well? With, you know, you can't say that it's all Bernanke's fault.
Oh, no, it's certainly Greenspan. Between the first two central banks in America failed. Between Greenspan and Bernanke, and I've written this, it's in my books, you know, that long before this happened, between Greenspan and Bernanke, they're setting up the failure of the central bank, the demise of the Federal Reserve. The first two failed. This one's going to fail, too.
Jim?
Because of Greenspan and Bernanke, not just Bernanke. Greenspan laid a perfect foundation